Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. This is an SVSU men's basketball season preview. I'm JJ Bain, joined by men's basketball coach Randy Baruth. And Randy, you're going into your second season. Normally we talk about how, you're so much more familiar with your players and all those kinds of things, but you're bringing in 7 new guys, so you have to learn a lot of new players again.
Yeah, it is. It's like starting all over for the second year in a row, and in so many ways. And then there's other ways it's a little bit better. I think the returners that are here, they're still carrying some things with them that we tried to do in the first year and stuff, and they're trying to help the young guys figure that out as quickly as possible before we hit the hard court here.
And talk about some of those returning players and now what you're expecting from them going into their second season playing for you.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing we're expecting from them is we're still trying to build our culture. I mean, that's still a forefront of our mind is every single day is our culture, and that's that we're trying to get a little bit tougher. We're trying to defend and do all those things because we know if we don't have the culture of being a team and trying to be a little bit tougher each day, it really doesn't matter what else we do because we're going to be fighting an uphill battle. So those are the two things that's really on the forefront for them. As far as individual players, we redshirted a kid, Kalen Foreman, who's had a good redshirt year, was able to get a lot of extra lifting in, put on some extra weight, and develop a little bit. And then we return a couple, 4 sophomores. And with that, so we have, a senior in Mike Fugate, who also redshirted last year, got through his foot surgery, who is really adding some things that we don't have as a senior that has played in this league and stuff and is really able to help some of our young kids. So Kalen Foreman, a junior. We brought in a junior, Lindsey Johnson, a junior college kid who's a fantastic leader. And Lindsey is a good player for us, but he was brought specifically also because of other intangibles, leadership, maturity, the kind of person he was, and his example. And he's a good player for us, and we love that side of him, but the other intangibles we felt were even more important that we needed him to bring him in. And then, so he's kind of a returner in all of our returning meetings per se. He's always in those. And then you have Damon Bozeman, Sterling Johnson, I'm trying to think of some of the other guys here, Vince Adams, Kellen Smith, some of those guys who are now sophomores, who are still really young. I mean, they're 19 years old, some of them maybe 20, but are returners and are doing a really good job trying to bring some things along with 6 freshmen.
And again, those freshmen coming from all over the place, literally from here to Australia.
Yeah. We all the credit of all the recruiting and a lot of things in our program, that all goes to Coach Chin and Coach Hammer. I mean, they just were relentless on the road. They gave up many practices. They gave up going to games and stuff last season to get us a situation where we feel with this group, along with our returners, that it helps our program move in a good direction. So hats off to them and all the work and the time that they put in away from families to do all that recruiting and stuff. So now we're just trying to get everything meshed together, but we got a kid from Ohio, some kids from Indiana, like I said, a kid from Australia, a couple Michigan kids. So now we're just trying to blend, and get all the strengths and weaknesses, both as people and as players, put together and try to create a team a little bit.
How do you work on that? Because obviously you're going to have to figure out during these practices, and I'm sure well into the season, what your rotations are going to be.
Yeah, well, I think that's just time. I mean, we fiddle around with lineups and practices and different things in practices, but it still comes back to our culture. And the guys know, and they know from our recruiting them, and they know from the first day we've been here, is that we've got to play hard and we got to play together. And then we'll start worrying about the smart part of it as we develop and get experience. But if we don't have those two things, the rotations become pretty easy, because if they're not going to do those, we can take that out real quick and just, as Coach Majerus once said in a clinic, the bench is the best teacher.
That certainly always gets the players' attention.
Yes, absolutely.
What do you want to see from your team in terms of making some improvement here? You had some big wins last year, but I know you'd probably like to see more victories this season.
Sure. I think the improvements we want to see is, again, and it's a broken record, and you can come and watch a million practices in our meetings, but again, we have to improve in the culture of who we are and who we want to be. And we've never discussed winning. We've never discussed losing, not one time, and we won't, because that's just something that will handle itself if we take care of the other things we're trying to do, and culture and defense and trying to really guard and build a defensive conscience. All those other things will go. I mean, obviously, every coach in America wants to sit there and say you want to be 25-0, but that's just a stress that no coach and none of our players need to worry about. Our things is concentrating on defensively, our culture, and getting our minds set to where we're playing together and we're sacrificing for each other, and then the other things will start falling into place.
Hopefully some of those fall into place and do end up in the win column as the
Yes,
season goes along.
For sure.
Randy Baruth, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And good luck this season. When we come back, we'll be rejoined by SVSU football coach Jim Collins. That's next on SVSU Red Alert.